Need your pressure washing supplies fast? PPW Express brings you top brands, always in stock, and a mobile app that lets you order in seconds. Enjoy same-day shipping on every order placed before 3 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Eastern. Download the PPW Express app today.
Stand out with custom gear from DAB Marketing. No design fees, no minimum orders. Just premium sublimated shirts built for the service industry. Look professional, look sharp. Get your gear from DAB Marketing.
Happy Thursday, everybody. It's Anthony from the Clean Humor Podcast. Trudy's still not with us. She's across the pond somewhere in Paris, England, whatever. Trudy's doing what Trudy does best, and that's traveling, getting lost in all the mix of all the world that's going on. Before we get started with our show tonight with Brittany, I got an announcement to make. Our good friend Judd West, the founder of Flow Pro Solutions, lost his sweet, sweet mother this morning at 12:30 something a.m. this morning. So please keep him and his family in your thoughts and prayers. Have any problems with any of the equipment, he's going to be out of pocket for a couple of days. So bear with him. Everything he will get back with you, but just be mindful that what he's going through, it's something hard. I went through it myself. All of us going to go through it sooner or later. But just keep them in your thoughts and prayers and everything, and they'll get through it and everything. Get back to somewhat normalcy in a week or so and everything. So with that being said, we're here with Miss Brittany Blackman. She's down around Destin, Florida, one of Trudy's buddies. I called her up and said, hey, I need a guest on the show for Thursday. I thought she was in the pressure washing business. Come to find out, she's not in the pressure washing business, but she has owned vacation rental companies, property management companies and stuff down along the beach area. And right now she sold all that stuff off, got rid of it, and started her own company called Discover Freedom. That is, we're going to touch base on tonight on people you put in places to grow your company, where to put them, how to find them people is most important, and know when to hire and when to scale back yourself. So, Miss Brittany, how are you doing?
I'm doing just peachy. Thank you.
It's good to have you. It's finally good to meet you. Everything. I know we're friends on Facebook and stuff, but never really talked to you. But it's good to have you on the show. So you just want to give a little background. I know I probably covered everything, but that's what I do with the intros. But if you want to just touch base on some stuff and how you started the vacation rental, the property management, how you grew it, why you decided to get out of it and start the venture into Discover Freedom.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was born and raised in North Georgia, so that's where that accent comes from. Moved to the Florida Panhandle, 15 some odd years ago. I stopped counting a little while back, and had always worked in retail, restaurants, stumbled across a few jobs when I moved down here. And if you don't know anything about the Florida Panhandle, it's packed full of vacation rentals, short-term rentals. And so fell into that industry and just loved it. Loved the chaos of every day, so much problem solving, being able to just provide really great experiences for people on vacation, for them to make memories. And was very, very passionate in that industry. I very quickly, with a company that I first started with, worked my way up. I was with them for about nine and a half years and was their operations manager. Started on the smaller end at about 40 properties, which is pretty small. And then by the time I left, we had about 115, which was decent size. So I've kind of been through that scaling of teams. And then in 2020, had a midlife crisis at the same time as the world crisis. And I'd always dreamt of owning my own company. My parents.
You took a page out of Trudy's book, just decided you're going to open up your own company and just go with it. In the middle of a pandemic, the world shutting down. Let's just open up a store. Let's open up our own company, teach people how to build businesses, and businesses are closing down.
Yes. I gotta tell you, man, when you find that passion, though, it's hard to stop it. When your heart tells you something, when your gut tells you something, just follow it. So it was crazy. It was wild. Looking back, I'm like, good God, what was wrong with me? Like, why did I do that? But it's what I wanted to do. I was passionate about it. The opportunity to purchase the company that I was working at was not in the cards, unfortunately. And so I started my own vacation rental company at the end of 2020. And honestly, I thought I was going to have the company for like 10, 20 years. It was going to be what floated me through most of life. And
Yeah.
started building a team. I was working 80 hours a week. I think it's kind of the hard part, right? When you're the entrepreneur and the founder, you put all your heart and soul into something.
Yeah.
Realized that that was not very healthy, and so started putting team members into place, started delegating, getting things off my shoulders. Went through another midlife crisis, and uh,
You ain't loud, but one of them.
I know, right? You seeing a pattern now? But I would say about 2023, I just started questioning things in life, just like, was this all I was meant to do? And dove into some personal development, and through a year of working through a lot of personal development, found that the best option for me was to actually sell the business. So not the intention in such a short time frame. I always had built and structured the business to sell it, but didn't realize it was going to happen in 4 years. So successfully sold the business in August of 24, and then obviously a little too young to retire. So the next venture, I think when you have that entrepreneurial like blood in you, it's really hard to get it out. And so that's when the next step was, how can I still be of service to people? How can I make business and managing people not so hard? And that's kind of where I've, to be honest with you, just kind of stumbled into where I am now, which is taking the best of my abilities, partnering with other businesses where they struggle at and where their blind spots are. And I've always been a great leader. Now I have some education and some training behind me. So now I can share that with other people to help them with their people in their business.
That was a lot.
Yeah.
2 midlife crises in 1 year. You don't look old enough to even have one midlife crisis.
I hope I'm good. I hope I'm tapped out by now.
That's that's about like me. I quit my 9 to 5. Well, it wasn't 9 to 5. It was from 6 to whenever they decided to let you go home, kind of job. And I went home, and I was a house husband for about 2 weeks. It felt a little bit longer than that. Enough to get her spoilt and rotten and stuff. And I thought, man, I got to find something to do. Idle minds is the devil's playground. So, and I'm that person. I don't need to be sitting still all the time.
Same.
I think tendency of getting in trouble. But with that being said, discover freedom. So how did that come about? I mean, just tell us, you sold the property management, and you still wanted to help people.
I did. So I told you in 2023 that I started doing personal development. Fun story. I had I had no training. I did not have a college degree. I did a couple years of college, and then that's when I was in Georgia, decided to move to Florida. So I did not have any, again, sort of education and training in that sense. And so in 23, the personal development that I did was by getting myself a coach. And fun fact, I'd actually met this coach at a pirate festival in Tampa a few years earlier, and just saved her information because I never knew when I might need her. And sure enough, I just called her like, hey, this is what's going on. Like, can you help me navigate through this? I don't want somebody else to like tell me how to live the rest of my life, but I just need somebody to like help me through this. And she's like, yeah, that's exactly what I'm here for. So my experience honestly was life changing from it. It helped me get through a very murky part of life, a very confusing part of life. And so, in deciding what to do next, just fell in love with this idea of coaching, where you're basically trained to help people find their own answers. You're trained to support people and not solve their problems for them. And I was like, man, this sounds really cool. All right, let's just do it. Didn't realize how much I was gonna love it, but I do.
But you love it. You fell in
I
love with
do.
it.
I do.
All right. Well, let's get into some. I'm gonna use myself for example since
Perfect.
I owner operator. Um, I do everything. I run the truck. I maintenance the equipment. I maintenance the truck. Do the bookkeeping while I send some emails and stuff when I get asked her to, just because her spelling's better than mine.
Yeah, you know
And
your
but
weakness.
mainly I wear all the hats in the company.
Hmm.
So with that being said, how do I know when it's time to hire versus just to push through? Me, I like to push through. Um, I'm 55 years old. I ain't getting no younger. But to me, and I tell everybody this. I mean, we have people that own businesses and they're younger and they're doing wonderful jobs and teaching people how to grow their businesses and stuff. It's hard for me to turn loose. Um, I built it. It's mine. It's my baby. It's like me telling me, say, here's my child. Now you take over the reins. Kind of hard to do, but how do you know when it's time?
So, in thinking about that question, you're always sacrificing something. So I think everybody's answer to that question is going to be a little different because if you're in a season of life or business where you can build and it might mean that you're sacrificing personal time or family time, it might make sense. It might make sense to do that for a little bit. There also comes a point when I think you have to sit back and go, okay, what am I sacrificing right now? And how long am I okay with continuing to sacrifice those things? And having an idea of a succession plan, whether it's are you going to sell the business? Are you going to pass it off to someone? Are you just going to close it? Like having an idea of just what that looks like down the road, I think is really important. I think for me, in going back to, like, what are you sacrificing? It's also there might be a busy week or a busy month, but the rest of it is going to be okay and not so hectic. So, can you deal through that? Can you push through that? Like, absolutely. But if you realize that that push and that hustle is happening all the time and you're not eating dinner with your family, you're missing your kids'
8 months
events.
out of the year.
Yeah, and I think that's where again it's that personal decision of like, are you willing to continue sacrificing those things? And if you get to that point where you go, you know what, no, I don't want this to continue this way because hopefully business doesn't go down, right? You would want to either maintain business or for it to go up. I think that's when you have to make that decision then and go, okay, and this is one thing that's so interesting. Like everybody thinks they have to hire a full-time person and pass everything to them. And I think that's that founder mindset. It's like all or nothing. Um, but that's not reality. Like there's people who want part-time work. There's parts of your business that maybe a VA, a virtual assistant could take over, like some of the admin, paperwork, computer stuff. So that next step that I would think of in that, if you're realizing like, hey, I don't want to sacrifice all of this, is just deciding the things that you hate to do. What like sounds like nails on a chalkboard each day for you and go, okay, could I put enough of this together where I could bring somebody in
Yeah.
and let them shine in that department so I can go do what I love to do every
Right.
day.
To me, it's I love to get out there. I love to meet the people, the customers, and I
Hmm.
love to wash. It's like just the other day, I had an opportunity to open up with a guy. Um, I knew one of his sad stories, but when I got there and the gentleman got talking to me, he's like, man, he said, we was talking. He lost 2 daughters. One of them was from brain cancer. They knew was coming eventually. They knew they prepared themselves for it. And well, she passed And he was like, that was hard. That was one of the hardest thing I've done. He's like, I said, I told her, he says, I can't do that no more. I cannot lose another child. Well, he comes home one day and his other daughter is hanging in her bedroom.
Oh,
So he's like, I mean, him and his wife, they're devastated. I mean, this is probably a year or so ago. So I got to minister to him on the lines of getting him kind of open up to seeing that everything, that it didn't take God by surprise, which they go to church, they Christians and everything and believers. And he said, you're right. I said, but you got to be able to, you got to find yourself in this bad part of your life and find the good to come out of it. Even though it's hard to say, And I told him, I said, I don't know what you're going through. I can't even begin to think of your feelings that you're having. And you got this stranger standing here telling you got to find the good in this mess that you're going through and everything. He said, well, he said, I think that's because my background, he's in the military. He's been in Iraq, been over there, went like two tours over there. He said, I've seen a lot of stuff. He said, I think that training helped me with it. He said, my wife is the one that's really, really struggling right now. And so that, to me, it's more than just a business to me.
right.
It's a kingdom thing to me. God opened up the doors for the business to strive. It's been a blessing. I mean, I make lots of money doing what I do. I'm a blessed person for it. I got a wife that supports me. She stands behind me. Every decision I make, she may not like them, but she says, if you want to do it, do it. Make it happen. So it's, to me, I like it. And I don't really see myself really stop washing and just going out here finding the work. I feel I find the work and I can still go help the guys do it. When I got kids coming home from college, one of them go to finance online classes when he comes home, and he eventually wants the business. So I'm going to teach him this summer everything he needs to know about running it, and I'm going to get him some help, and I'm going to still be there. I'm not just going to give it to him and say, here, he's going to earn it. I make my kids work and everything. So that being said, that's me. I guess I'm just a grinder. My wife tell me, you got too much of your mama in you. You're not never going to sit down.
It's a blessing and a curse, right?
Yeah. I mean, I get sick and I'm like, I go to the doctor, I get IV run through me and shots and everything. And the next day I'm like, oh man, I feel so much better. She says, in the bed. You're not going to work. Don't even think about it. You're not going down to your shop. Don't work around on anything.
That's right. But, take a minute.
Yeah.
But I think, and thank you for sharing that. I think that's the beauty though, right? Of like entrepreneurship and what makes every single one of these businesses so completely different. Like when you do pass this off, nobody's gonna have that passion and that love that you do. And thank goodness, you've got your kids, or at least one of them, that you can share some of that and then he can evolve that into what it is for his. But I'm going to go back to like, we think as founders that when we're going to bring somebody in, that it's just this like mass takeover and just, all hands up. And like, there's this wrong and right way of bringing on members, but that's exactly it. Like, figure out what it is that you love. Like, why do you put your feet on the cold floor every morning and you stay doing those things? And the stuff that makes you roll your eyes, that's the stuff that you pass off to somebody else if it's getting too heavy or too annoying or whatnot. So there's not a right or wrong. And just because Joe Schmo built a business and a team one way doesn't necessarily mean that that's how you have to do it. We talked about that a little bit the other day, when we talked, like the benefit of having conversations like this is just hearing how different people do different things, but ultimately figuring out what works best for you. And that's what it is. To quit trying to copy what just somebody else did to be successful. You're not them. Your business, that passion and love that you have, it, that's not replicatable. It's not.
Yeah, it's a good point on because we got, you know, a lot of people that's in this business and which we got a few people that comes on. We got a few people that teaches on scaling businesses and stuff. Basically the same thing that you do, and they're gonna be at the Panhandle event too, um, because like you said, everybody's world's different. Just because what works for me, it ain't gonna work. May not work for you. It may not work for Patrick that's watching us um, online here. Uh, it's just different, and that's what my wife says. She tells me all the time. She says, "Quit wanting to be like everybody else. Be yourself. That's what God's called you to do in this business is to be yourself." And but she's right. Though. I mean, I've grown so much in this business. I mean, a couple of years ago, didn't hardly nobody know my name. Last year, I got the phone call. Me and Trudy, we've been friends ever since I've been in business, just about. And I got the phone call. She said, "I want to talk to you." I said, "Sure. What we need to talk about?" She said, "Well, let's do a podcast together." I said, "Me? I'm a washer. I don't know all this stuff that you know." And she says, "I want you. I want you to be the co-host. We're gonna host this thing. This is what it's gonna be called, and this is what our focus is to teach people, to show them the right and the wrong ways of doing stuff, and then bring people in to just to co everything together." And it's worked. And we've been to 2 events since this thing started, and people just come up, "Man, hey Anthony, man, y'all do a great job on the show." And I mean, you meet so many people that know you and you don't know them. I mean, it's a blessing because now you got to really, really concentrate and watch on how you put stuff out there because you're in that limelight, that spotlight now. So people's watching. So you got to really be careful on how you put stuff out there because if not, it can be taken in so many different ways and wrong. But anyway, back to the topic at hand. Start my business. It's a small business. I'm a small business owner. What's the biggest mistake a small business owner makes when they're hiring somebody?
So typically what I see, and I know that I experienced, is you're drowning so quickly that you just hire anybody who has a pulse, and you typically have not taken the time to really think about, what is this person going to do? What do I expect of this person? How am I going to train this person on what this company is, what we stand for, how I want them to represent the brand, if I'm not there, when I am there. So in its simplicity, it's not slowing down. And I think this gets worse and worse with AI and technology, but we live in such a hustle culture. And I understand it. I'm not trying to tell people to sit on their couch and eat potato
Oh,
chips
yeah.
every day. Right. But like we don't slow down enough to think about the business. And what I see a lot in the work that I do now is, you might have your marketing plan and you're this and you're that and how you're going to do all these things, but nobody ever has a people strategy. Like
Right.
nobody. And so it is, if I could tell you to do one thing, it would be to slow down. Take an afternoon. I'm not saying you need a 30-day hiatus from this, to figure this out. Like take one afternoon and sit down and go like, what is it that I want this person to do? What's important for them to understand, if I'm not there with them? And that becomes a bit of the onboarding process and the training process. And y'all listen, I'm been in small business all my life. I'm
Yeah.
not saying that this needs to be these big, long, extensive things. But people nowadays, they want to understand what they're part of. They want to understand what they're working towards and the impact that they play in it. And so, again, I think it's so easy to get so caught up and moving so fast, and the business is doing so great. Next thing you know, you're again in that drowning feeling. And when you hire people that way, when you onboard them that way, they can feel it. It's confusing for them. And then the worst part is they typically don't stay around for more than 6 months. So then you get to do it all over again.
Yeah. Another question. This is one of my own. I want to ask: hourly pay or performance-based pay?
Ooh.
Our business. I mean, we go out. We may stay out all night long watching.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, what's your thoughts?
Well, what I'm really going to draw this down to is if you're going to do performance, you better do a heck of a good job training, because where I see performance pay being an issue, and where I'm going to relate this to is from the vacation rental world that I came from, cleaners. Do we pay our cleaners hourly, or do we pay our cleaners based per property? The reality is we didn't have training programs. We didn't take the time to teach people what clean meant. We just said, can you clean a bathroom? Y'all, I'm sure in pressure washing, there's probably about 15 million ways to actually pressure wash something. And so I think if you've got a tight knit training program, expectations are crystal clear. They know your standards. They just to a T, you've got it figured out. I think performance pays great. Do a lot of small businesses have that? I don't see it a lot. That's where I think hourly comes in. But what I would attach to that is also having an idea of how long something should take. And that should be communicated to a staff
Yeah.
member. Like, hey, so many square feet, or this type of cleaner, this or that should take, about this long. Because again, like if you don't set a precedence of what that expectation is, what I've experienced could be different from what you've experienced. Your level of cleaning could be different than the other guys down the street. And so I think it really is going to come into you just taking, again, a little bit of time yourself on a wash of this or that type of surface, whatever it might be, and figure out kind of what those averages are. And then I think you could set some clear expectations with hourly pay. And that's me not being in y'all's industry, just from an outside industry, things that we encountered.
Patrick said safety would be the top of teaching too, and he's correct there, especially in the stuff we do, because we mess with a lot of chemicals that could really mess you up. It can get on you and burn you and everything. But the thing about it is hourly pay. So I clean a lot of McDonald's, and I've been at every McDonald's store that I clean. I've cleaned every one of them, and I know it takes anywhere. The fastest we've done one is in 4 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the most time it's been 6 hours. So I know it takes 4 to 6 hours to clean this. So if I'm paying this guy hourly, and I know it takes 4 to 6 hours, and he's there 8 hours, what's happened? There's 2 hours there that I know that something has happened. Either you got to the truck, you ran out of water, you fell asleep. I mean, we're out there at midnight all night long. I mean, it could happen. It's never happened before, but I'm just saying it could happen. But, which I went to the performance pay. That's what I told them I was going to start doing. I ain't paying y'all by the hour. I ain't paying by the hour no more. I got a couple part-time guys that help me off and on, and they're fine with it. I mean, they say, hey, we make more money that way. If we got 2 jobs or 2 or 3 jobs to do, and one day, like if one of them's off on Tuesday and he come help me Tuesday, we got 2 jobs to do, 3 jobs to do. We get out there, we get them jobs done. He makes more money for me in one day than he makes a chicken salad chick.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's the good thing about it. And then by the hour, you get out there. I worked by the hour before. Everybody, boss says, why ain't you got this done? I get paid by the hour.
I think that, again, just in a different industry, It's really just what works best for you. Like, try it. That's gonna be my honest answer to it too. Like, try it, see what works, figure it. You could get burned either way, but what makes the most sense for your business and your operation? And it's not to say too, depending on how big your team grows as well, that maybe you've got some per job performance rates, but maybe you've got a part timer that comes in and you pay them hourly. You know what I mean? Like, it's your business. Like, do whatever, makes
Somebody
sense
come
for
in,
it.
clean your
Yeah,
shop, up, whatever, blah blah blah.
either way, train them, stay on top of them, like check in with them, see what's going on. And if they know the expectations and you hold them accountable for it, I think either way can work. It's just, I think sometimes we fall into, oh, if we do it this certain way, I don't have to worry. I don't have to follow up on them. They could do the same, mess up the same thing, either way. So,
Yep, that's one of my next questions is when somebody keeps messing up, how should you handle
oh, my favorite.
it? Let's just say if I work for you and I keep missing a toilet.
Ooh, we're gonna have a conversation. So let me tell you where I see this go wrong. Because I do consult with several businesses. Um, and this is where I see things go wrong is everybody's super worried about being nice. Oh, well, he just missed it that one time. Oh, well, she was in a bad headspace, whatever. All of a sudden, it becomes a pattern and it is a behavior that you, by not doing anything or saying anything about, are condoning. Um, and so my biggest thing is be direct and be kind. I love doing this experiment with teams where it's not an experiment, it's a workshop, but we sit down and we talk about feedback and we talk about how do you give feedback? How do you receive feedback? And over and over and over again, the answers are the same. People want direct feedback. They want it in private. They want to know, where did I mess up and what does success look like? So we know the platform, we know like the foundation of it. But again, like as a manager or a business owner, we just kind of make these excuses and just think they're going to fix things by themselves. Or we think that we might tell them one time and it's just magic wand and it's never going to happen again.
Man,
No, it's just not how it does. So there's a framework called SBI, which stands for Situation, Behavior, Impact. I really like that one. So what you can do if somebody is messing up on something, again, in private and be direct as possible, explain to them the situation, explain the exact behavior of where they went wrong, what that impact had on a client, on the business, on themselves, the team, whatever it might be, and then set them up for success. Please, you got to tell them what behavior needs to change. What does it actually look like for you to not have to be bothered and not have to follow up a million times? And beyond that, the kindest thing is follow up. Like, again, if somebody messes up, don't assume that you tell them one time and they are just going to understand it. Yes, the perfect world, that would be amazing if that happens, but we're humans. Sometimes we have to learn things. Yeah. So follow up with them. Hey, I'm going to follow up with you in, a day, a week. The other thing that I see too in business is there's also a severity level to things. So if somebody is causing a safety issue, if they are causing any sort of damage, if it's in direct violation of company policy, also be very clear about those things. Hey, man, this is where you're messing up. This is, what this is, the impact that this is having. If this happens again, I'm going to have to let you go because you're going to hurt yourself. You're going to hurt somebody on the team. You're going to, damage clients, houses and things like that. So again, just the kindest thing is being direct. Don't be vague. Don't tell people to stop being lazy. I hear that a lot. Just come into work and be happy. Quit being lazy. I don't know what that means. Like, give examples, tell them the exact behaviors. And then my most favorite coaching question of all time is ask them what they heard. So after you're done talking to them, just say, hey, what'd you hear? Because you have no idea if they actually heard the words you spoke unless you ask.
I'll say nothing.
Yeah, yeah. Or they say something in left field, and you're like, keep talking then, like stay in that conversation, because like we all have so many things going through our head. We have our own experiences of what's going on, so you could literally say something to me and I could straight up hear something completely different just because of like what's going on in my own head.
Yeah.
So check in. Hey, what did you hear? Make sure you're on the same page before y'all leave that meeting. And again, that the follow up is crucial if you've got somebody making mistakes. And also, um, positive behavior when they are doing things, when they fix something, when they're doing the things that you want them to do. Tell them that they did a good job.
Give them a hand clap, pat them
That's
on
right.
the back.
That's right.
When I worked for a company, when I quit the company I was working for, when I quit my so-called 9 to 5 job or whatever you want to call it, the guy that was over us, our supervisor, I won't tell you, he'd cuss us like a dog. I mean, just, and I always said, if I ever own my own business, if I get out of this hellhole and own my own business, I'll never talk to my employees like that. You'd be surprised on how you treat somebody. They'll bring their morale down and their work ethic down and stuff. And it's like, he just didn't really care. I mean, but when we was on the job site, he was like that. We get to the motel room and he's a totally different person. I'm just like, dude, what's going on with you? But anyway, that's that. Patrick has got a thing. He's got something right here. The SH is reacted to electricity. Ladders are always dangerous. Traffic when parked in front of the house is always a factor. Yes, chemical reaction with all different types of chemicals we use is correct. I've been doing this almost 10 years now, and I always said, knock on wood, I never had paint to fail on me yet. Day before yesterday, Monday, was my first time in almost 9 years I had a house fail on me. We're going to get up there and have to fix it and get it painted. And the spot that messed up is the A-frame part of the house, and it just didn't have it. I tested the bottom part, but I couldn't get up. I didn't reach up there and spread on it, and it faded it all out. It was a bummer.
Yeah,
I texted
that is
to Trudy. And I said, well, 10 years and it finally happened. Trudy, dang it, I hate that. And I said, that sucks, don't it? Because this happened to her quite a bit. And, I told the homeowner, I said, I preach this stuff. I said, I teach it. I said, it really hits home when it happens to you. He said, how do you recover from this? I said, we paint it. That's the only thing we can do. And they're fitting to sell their house. It was the guy that the children. That's why they're selling the house. He said, you think the realtor will notice it? And I thought, well, it's right beside the pool. If she looks up and she don't notice it, I think I might want to get a new realtor. But I said, you could try and see if you can sneak it by. If you sneak it by, that's up on the homeowners then. It's up to you. But, I told him, I said, I get somebody out there, get a couple prices on it and everything. And then he got saying, well, I'd like to have some of the rest of the house painted that's kind of faded, the blue that's faded just from time. Nothing we did, but just old house. Well, it's not really an old house, just out in the sun, no trees around or anything, just sun faded paint. And that's totally up to you. I said, I'm taking care of that spot.
That's right. But I mean, even in that, like making mistakes, like when you've got people on the team, like I'm not saying accept anything in failure, but like people are going to make mistakes. But what I heard you say in that story is you took ownership. Yep. And you're making things right. And that's like the same thing when you're, working with your son, in a few months, when he steps in, when he gets his first hire, to support him, like mistakes are going to happen. Take ownership of it, though. Communicate it, and we're going to make it right. And I can almost guarantee you, as painful as it might be to have to fix that, those homeowners will never forget you. And just that, the respect for your brand, there's just there's so much value in it. I can't even, that's just being a good human. You know what I mean? Like that's what matters. And that's what you teach to people too, is this is how we're going to do business. That's how I would tell you to teach. I know not everybody does it that way,
Yeah,
but
that's how it should be. I mean, because it wasn't nobody's fault but mine. I should have tested the spot anyway, and then just say, "Hey, look, we can't put nothing on here unless you want to pay the extra money for me to get the chemical, and then your house wash is done triple."
mm-hmm.
Because the stuff that you had to put on it to clean it with costs a lot more than just standard old SH that we use. Uh, Another question is, how do you get team members to care about the quality of work?
So
You do it with them.
yeah, yes. So I think where a lot of people get stuck in this one is they just get stuck in the function of the business, which is the what the business is doing, and they never really take the time and consistently communicate the why behind it, that passion behind it. Like, why out of everything you could have done did you choose this, and why do you choose to do it every single day? So I think, for even for your son, like stepping in, you really expressing to him like those relationships, like that story that you shared, is amazing. Like that's a heart and soul of a business that, again, nobody can buy that and replicate that. They can do it in their own way, but if I think you have to, number one, you have to accept that nobody's you, so they're not going to care like you. And for you to have an expectation that someone's going to be a clone of you, like that's not fair. You're setting them up for failure unless you have a clone machine.
Right.
So the number one, like, you ought to understand that. But number two, the best way that you can get them to care is they have to understand like the full picture of it, the full experience. What, when people hear the name of your company, the brand that you represent, like, how do you want people talking about you in the community? What do you want your clients saying about you? Why do people call you back year after year or refer you to other people? Like, it's those kinds of conversations that help people realize that it's more than just a job. And I say this all the time: if you hire people and you treat it like it's just a job, why would you expect them to treat it any differently?
Right.
Like, it starts with the leader. We got to know what we're working towards. We got to know why we're here. Otherwise, it's just a job, and that's absolutely how they're going to treat it. But I can tell you, and I know there's some debate up there in the air about it, but the younger generation, they want to understand the impact that they have and how they play a role in the bigger vision. That's why they're so disconnected from work. That's why they job hop. That's why they're seen as not loyal and that they don't ever want to work. And yes, there's a few kids that are just, haven't fully developed, and I give them that.
Some
Um,
adults and ain't fully developed yet neither, but
Facts.
you know,
But people do. Like, people want to be part of something. Like, we're choosing to spend more time at work most of the time than we are with our own families. So the fact that I wouldn't want to know what we're working towards and why we're together, like, would you have gotten married to your wife without any conversation of what y'all wanted in the future together?
mm-mm.
You're just like, hey, let's just do this thing together every day. Like, you don't have personal relationships for like that, like, so I mean, business is kind of the same way. Like, talk about what is it that we want to do here. And the other piece of that too is understanding your employees and understanding who is just there for a paycheck. There's nothing wrong with those people as
Right.
long as you understand it. There's also nothing wrong with the people who want to grow, the people who want to develop and do something bigger or more or grow with your company. And you have to set those expectations of what you're wanting to do in the vision, of course. But just have some of those conversations and figure out what are people wanting. I know some of the best employees show up every day. They keep their head down. They keep their mouth tight. They get their work done.
And go
They
home.
don't, yeah, and they're perfect. They're some of the best employees. There's other employees who want to grow, who want management. Like, you need that in your business. But most importantly, you need to know when you're hiring them and continuing that conversation. Hopefully they're with you for years, right? You want to
Yep.
continue having that conversation because seasons of life change for people. And so it's the biggest thing I see missing is just conversations with people, checking in on them. Hey man, how's it going? Was this what you expected it was? Where are you at in life now? Oh, you just got married. Now you want to build a family. Maybe we need to change some things out, but we just hire people and we have like one conversation with them and never have any other sort of follow-up conversations. It's just always work, work, work. So we
Mhm.
lose that drive and making sure that people are in the right places and are they motivated with what they need to be motivated with.
Yeah. Pat, I don't know what ADD is. You have any idea what he's talking about? Can you
I
see
didn't
the
see what he
comment?
said. Mm-mm. It like ADHD.
It could be what it is. He just put ADD. But anyway, we'll move on. But just really just I think a lot of it is us as business owners, the way we communicate to our employees and everything. Uh, Even my boys, I treat when they're on the job. I treat them. I don't treat them no different. I treat anybody else. I don't treat them no different than I treat the other help that we got. Everybody's treated equal. Everybody does the same amount of work and everything. Um, what you say to people, how you speak to people, you speak into their life, puts out what they're going to put into your company. You could come work for me, and I could just, you're not going to amount to nothing. You ain't going to do nothing. Blah blah blah. You're gonna have that attitude too. You're not gonna want to do nothing. You're not gonna want anything to succeed. It's like this morning in BNI. That's why I left them with when I gave my last little speech. I had to give. I said, look, we're gonna back this thing up because our thing they picked positive attitude this morning for our thing. We got a list, a bullet thing, if we get to pick what is it. Got accountability on there and all kind of stuff. And the guy picked positive attitude, and which that has a lot to do with me myself anyway, because me, in the morning I get up, it's positive stuff going in my soul, in my brain, into my spirit. I don't want to get up. I don't want to listen to the news first thing in the morning. I try not to get. I don't get on Facebook first thing in the morning because I want the garbage in my life. So I structure my life around. I structure my life around the Lord first thing in the morning. I get the prayer time in. I get His time in. It sets my day up. I get up. I do that. I get some breakfast in me. I get ready. I go to the gym. It's worship music. It's all good vibes for the first 3 to 4 hours. Because sometimes it's 3 to 4 o'clock in the morning, and I'm up. I'm moving. If I wake up, I don't go back to sleep. So I'm not going to waste my time sitting here. I'm going to get up. I'm going to get moving, get doing stuff, and it sets my day up for a good day instead of me getting on Facebook and Joe Joe man in a truck over here. He got 7 houses to wash today, man. I don't have but one. I wished I could be like him, or they got this big contract, and I didn't get it. And, just I used to do that. I mean, when I first started, I was trying to compete with people that I had no business trying to compete with, and then eventually, he said, "You're different. Where you're going to go, what your business mindset is different than what everybody else's is. They're here for them. You're here for me. Your path is different than anybody else's path that is probably in this business." This week had really showed it because when I went to leave, I said, "Hey, man," I said, "Can we pray for you?" And I was like, "Oh, where'd that come from?" I was like, "God, you better put some words in my mouth because I'm finna make a fool out of myself." And it was just, it was a God thing.
Mhm.
I love my job. I love what I do. I guess that's one reason why I'll probably never come off the truck fully. I probably won't do it. I mean, can I do that stuff in another row in the company? Yes. If I hadn't have been out there, would I have missed that opportunity? 90% chance, yes, unless I had to go to that property for some reason. And then would it open up the door? Because every time this man come outside, he stopped and talked to me for 20, 30 minutes. A 3 or 4 hour house wash took me 8 hours.
Got a friend out of it though.
Yeah, I guess you can say that. But it's just the stuff you put in you and the stuff you put that you have coming out of you towards the people around you makes a big difference. Um, I've tried to put myself or build people around me, have people around me that are like-minded business people.
Mhm.
They're professional. They have successful businesses. Do we make mistakes? Yes. I don't know not one person that's been in business that ain't made mistakes. Um, but we learn from them mistakes and we grow from them mistakes. And having them around me, I like to have people in my corner. If you're in a room and somebody says, "Man, that Anthony Freeman from Southern Surface Cleaner, he's just a rotten turd. He ain't worth nothing." You, the person that needs to stand up. I'm not in that room to defend myself. I want people that's going to be in that room. It's my so-called my friends. It's truly my friends. Said, "No, man, you don't know him like I know him." You know, that's the people I want to associate with. I don't need Judases in my life. And I, the reason where that come from, the reason I say that is because Judas, he was with Jesus, and he was also with the Pharisees. He was double dipping to see what he could get out of the most of it, and at the time, he picked the left instead of the right, and it led him to destruction. So I don't need none of that in my life. I ain't got time for it. I got better things to do. But okay, I preached enough. Let's move on.
Yeah, well, I want to share two kind of like metaphors on that because I think that is really important. You don't realize as the manager, business owner, how much of you is actually being reflected outwards. I did not realize that until I sold
No,
my vacation rental business, and so like the way to think about that is you're the temperature of the business. So if you're hot, if you're cold, your team feels that energy, like you said, in your body language, the tone, the words you use, how you show up, your shortness, all of that. So like always, like a good little like gut check is what temperature am I setting right now, and is that the temperature I want the team to feel? Is that how your clients definitely feel it too? Again, whether you think it or not. So is that the temperature I want people to feel me right now? So you can think about it that, and then the other thing that came up as you were telling me that is, we always hear this metaphor of you can't pour from an empty cup. And a couple years ago, I heard one that I really loved, and it's more about what are you putting in your cup. So if you're putting black coffee in your cup, black coffee is what spills
right.
into others. If it's sweet tea is what gets spilled into others. Is it water? Is it nutrient? So it's like even in that, like you're saying, like the news, the music, the people, the just anything. This world is so noisy. So any of those things that you are putting into you is what you are then pouring into your work, your clients, your team, your relationship at home, whatever it might be. So it's also fully in your control. And I think you having experience in that and saying that is very wise, because I will tell you in my 20s being manager, I didn't understand any of that. I did not, none of that clicked. You would have told me that. I'd be like, huh? And I hope somebody can hear that message today and realize, like, whoa, I'm being the one that's setting the temperature, and I've got to figure out what's going on for me, because that is what's spilling into others and is a reflection of your brand and your company. And that's important.
I think we answered the last question I got on my list there. It ain't the last question, but it's how to set someone up for success starting from day one. You know, be positive about yourself, speak positivity into them, let them know when they're doing good, reward them. I think Patrick said safety bonuses are great incentive. Uh, any kind of bonus is a good incentive. I think it builds morale in your company. It gets their spirit up. They're like, man, if they really cares about us, um, and everything. And but that this positive attitude is probably the biggest thing. How you could set somebody up for success from starting from day one. You got anything you want to add to that?
Those are all great. The only other one that I was thinking of are just having one-on-ones. Some of the most successful teams that I see have quick one-on-one check-ins. They can be 15 minutes. People hear like meeting and they're like, "Oh my God, like the business has to stop." And that's not it. Like check in on your people. Have a purposeful weekly, bi-weekly, monthly. At the most you should stretch it out as monthly, but have a one-on-one. And it's not about their performance in the business. Like you should be staying on top of all of those things already. It's just a kind of like a heart to heart, like, hey, what's working, what's going really well,
That's not.
what's sticky, what's not. If nothing changes, what's going on? Are you happy with things? Does anything need to change? Are you seeing anything? And just kind of check in on like that human element for them in the business. And it's amazing. Like one of the most, I would say, heartwarming things about the work that I do is I just get to talk to the team and they just get to talk. They're not used to it. They're not used to being able to say what's on their mind in a non-judgmental space. And so they can talk about their problems. They can talk about what they want to be different. I'm in a position as an external person where I can push forward movement through management and help bridge that gap. But as I work with teams, I want that to be more in their own culture. So what you can do tomorrow is set up these one-on-ones, and you got to do them, and you got to do them consistently. But it's amazing, like when people want to talk, they want to say what's going on for them, so you give them 15 minutes of intentional time. It's amazing what you could figure out. You might figure out that their life's changing and they might need to be moving, that they might need a job that
One of
makes
those
them
things
more
like
money.
ask them
you
what's
know
going on with their self.
yes,
You know,
yes, don't get
a lot,
blindsided.
a lot of people. I mean, they come to why man did and work for that other company. Man, we come to work and we uh, didn't have that. You know, and when we start hiring people, I want to know that me or Brody, we're gonna be there.
Mhm.
We're gonna be the ones, and tell them they're appreciated. You're right, Pat. Let them know. Tell them they're appreciated. I know it. Everybody should do it if you're a business owner. Buy them lunch. Just show up on the job with lunch one day and say, "Here, cut the machines off. Sit down, have a burger, have a sandwich, have a Subway, have something." You know, just just be there for them.
Absolutely. I think I just kind of pull this all together. I think we overcomplicate how to handle other humans.
Yeah,
And it doesn't have to be that way. There's some structures, there's some things that you can do that can really help and accelerate or scale. As you scale, things do get a little different. But we're all just humans. So if you walk away with anything, just check in on them. They're humans. Treat them like they are humans. They've got a life. They've got things going on in their head. Like, just but you're the same way, and just communicate. Like vulnerability is. I'm not saying you gotta sit there and cry outside the job or anything crazy, but like, saying, "Hey man, I'm having a tough day. There's something heavy on my mind or whatever." Just all right, cool. I know where you're
talk.
showing up today.
Yeah. Right people in the right roles.
Hmm.
You got 30 seconds. No, you got all.
that that's a good one. Here's what I see in this goes back to something we talked about earlier. A lot of times we hire people and we're just like, hey, I just need you to do all these things. Like you said this at the beginning, I wear all these hats. So like that next person you hire, you just kind of start like shoving hats on top of them.
Mhm.
And people may not know what it is that they're good at or not. Every business and culture is so different, and your standards are different than the next guy's standards.
They might
So
not be able to handle all them hats.
exactly. So I'm going to go back to, this is why one-on-ones are so important. Hey, was this what you expected? Where are you at in life, and is this still fitting? What feels hard every single day? What do you love doing? What gets you so excited? And just like you and I had that conversation,
Yeah.
you do the same thing with your team, and you just figure it out. And then ultimately, there comes times in the company where the company has to decide, can the company is is this a really, really great employee where the company needs to do what it can to create and maybe shift a position for them? Or if the company can't do that, is the kindest thing to say, hey, I hear where you're coming from and what you need, but this isn't what the company can do at this time. And have a direct conversation. That person will probably appreciate and respect the heck out of you, so they can go
Mhm.
find what they need. But my biggest thing, with the right person and the right roles is, do they get it? Do they want it? Do they have the capacity, the training, the resources to learn it? And just be adaptable with it. Business changes, people change. Don't just think you hired somebody 5, 10 years ago, and that they're always going to be there. If they stay in the same position and it works and everybody's happy, awesome. But a lot of businesses don't stay that way in today's world. So just checking in, be willing to adapt, or have a very honest conversation. This is what we can offer. This is what we can do. Decisions up to you.
Time has really got away from us tonight. What a
So many more
fast,
hours.
what a fast time this. I wanted to take at least a couple of minutes out of it just to find out what makes Brittany Blackman tick. I mean, what your your heart, your
Ooh.
spirit. Um, get personal with us.
What I love the most is when people realize that just because the way they were brought up and the experiences that they've had doesn't have to make them who they are. So it's like this personal release of these like chains. Like I feel like we go through life and all these experiences and things happen, and we get created as the human that we are, and we feel like we have to continue living that way. So one of the most beautiful things in the work that I do, is when I meet with somebody and just see those chains drop. I'm gonna give you one example of it. There was this younger gentleman that I was working with, and he did not grow up with a family like many of us might think of it. He was taught to keep his mouth shut, to not have emotions, to not communicate, very, very closed off. And over time, he realized how that was actually causing friction, and it was getting in his way. And just the coolest thing, just last week he had an issue with work, and he went to his bosses and he communicated and he said what he needed to say, and that was his decision. And they were like, oh my god, he actually talked, and they were so excited. I'm like, see, it's working, y'all. It's that though, because that's deep.
Good
Like
deal.
that's somebody realizing, just because I was raised a certain way, had all these experiences, doesn't mean this is how I have to keep being. It's not working for me. It sucks. It's making life and relationships and work harder. I have full control to decide how I want to change. And
Right.
when I can see that kind of shift in somebody, and they take control of who they are, how they communicate, how they operate, the decisions they make, oh, it just like my heart just is like woo, woo.
I can see the passion. I can feel it. But man, that's been a quick hour. We're about 5 minutes over. How does people get in touch with you if they need uh, discover their freedom?
That's right. That's right. So I am on LinkedIn, Brittany Blackman, on Facebook and Instagram. My website's discoverfreedom.life. And then that's probably the easiest things. You can email me to at allin@discoverfreedom.life. And if you forget all of that, just holler at Trudy, and Trudy can connect you to me.
And you just go on Facebook. She's the blonde-headed woman in the Superwoman outfit flying through there.
That's right.
Yeah.
Keep it memorable.
But Brittany, it's been an honor. Don't go nowhere when we click off of here. We chat for a minute on the back end. Everybody remember Judd West, his family, and their thoughts and prayers for the upcoming week and month. Just keep them lifted up, that God strengthen them and get them through this terrible, terrible time. Panhandle Power Wash Supply Express. Get over there for all your pressure washing needs. If you need some clothes, swag, hats, pants, socks, even she even does shoes, even does underwear, whatever you need. Dab Marketing Alignment is your woman to go to with all of your apparel needs. She will hook you up. Your Facebook ads, she do that. Website designs, they also do that over there. Wonderful people to work for and work with. The show wouldn't be what it is without her in the background. As many of them know, we usually have stuff popping up everywhere as we get into the plug-in our Panhandle Expo, which is coming up in November. And I think we're going to try to have Brittany down there and try to speak and maybe do a little class. I'm sure Trudy's done asked you about that, and we're going to see if we can't get her down there and get her in person and see what she's all about. But it's been an honor, been a privilege. Thank you so much for coming on and sitting with me for this hour. It's been a wonderful show. I think we're going to have a lot of stuff coming out, a lot of good coming out of it. And Trudy's going to watch it, and she's going to say, wow, they done so good.
Glad we did good.
You need to hurry up and get back. Go. But anyway, guys, good night. We'll see y'all on the flip side. Y'all peace out.